Every family dinner had one constant. My seat was always invisible, even when I was sitting right there. I've learned not to linger on that thought too long. It used to sting. Now it's just data. Observable, measurable, undeniable. Outside my apartment window, the late March sky hangs low, slate gray and still undecided between snow or sun. I sip a lukewarm espresso while reviewing a spreadsheet of clinical trial timelines. My routine has the precision of a metronome. Wake at 5:45, meditate, espresso, inbox 0 by 7:30, walk 1 block to Novalink's Biotech's headquarters in Cambridge. It's quiet, predictable, efficient. A life engineered for results. I co-founded Novalinks 6 years ago. We just closed our 3rd funding round, but if you ask my parents, I work in some science thing. Amber, on the other hand, my older sister by 3 years, works in lifestyle PR, which to them sounds elegant, social, presentable, something you could explain in 10 seconds without triggering follow-up questions. And that's the key. Presentation over substance. Optics over effort. At my 27th birthday, I gave my mother a high-end espresso machine. Stainless steel, programmable, imported. She blinked at it and said, "Well, that's practical, I guess." Amber handed her a scented candle wrapped in floral ribbon. You would have thought she'd gifted the crown jewels. "Oh, Amber, you always know just what I need," Mom said, clutching it to her chest like it was a handwritten poem. I remember that moment more clearly than the day we launched our first product line. The group chat pings. It's titled Blake Family. I almost never open it, but muscle memory betrays me. Amber's birthday will be on April 1st. Casual garden party, just like that. No preamble, no inquiry if I'd be around Boston. It's assumed I'll do what I always do. Read in silence, maybe send a polite text. I hesitate, then do something uncharacteristic. I tap call. It rings twice. My father answers. "Hi, Dad," I start, keeping my voice light. "Just saw the message. Thought I'd come early and help prep, maybe bring a dessert from DeLuca's?" There's a pause, then a throat clear. That trademark pause he uses when shifting from social to serious. "Monica, listen, we're asking you not to come this year." My hand freezes mid-air. The espresso cup hovers just above the coaster. "I'm sorry?" "It's not personal. It's just Amber's boyfriend will be there. He's polished. Chief financial officer at a major firm. First time meeting the family. We don't want things to feel awkward. Awkward, as in my presence might disrupt the curated image of a perfect Blake gathering. I swallow back something sharp and metallic in my throat. "You think I'd embarrass you," I say flatly. He doesn't deny it. "I think comparisons wouldn't be helpful. Not for Amber. Not for you." My pulse kicks, but my voice doesn't rise. It never does. I stay measured. "I've been helping you pay the mortgage for 2 years, I say. I fund the internet you used to send that text." "Monica," he says, a warning creeping into his tone. "If you insist on coming, then don't call me your father." He hangs up. The room goes still. My plants hum in their corners. The humidifier puffs a slow exhale. The espresso machine beeps that it's gone cold. I stare at the phone in my hand, not blinking. That sentence, "Don't call me your father," reverberates louder than any shout he's ever thrown at me. It wasn't anger, it was rejection, dressed in calm cruelty. I walk to my desk, open the laptop. The screen lights up to my banking dashboard. It takes 4 clicks to get to the Recurring Payments tab. The top item on the list, Blake Household Utility Transfer, monthly, $680. Another few entries, water, electric, cable, all in my name. All deducted like clockwork, never questioned. I scroll. The total, just for the past 24 months, $15,716. There's a soft beep. Auto payment to Blake Household ON. I click the toggle. It flips red. Cancel all recurring payments? Yes. Confirm. Done. No explosion, no drama, just a system turning off. I stare at the confirmation page, and for the first time in years I feel something lift. Not relief, not revenge, just clarity. Cold, clean, absolute. Cancel all recurring payments. Sometimes silence doesn't protect peace, it just delays the explosion. Rain tapped the window in a rhythm almost too gentle to be noticed. Cambridge in March had this way of feeling like it hovered, between seasons, between emotions. I sat curled up on the corner of my couch, wearing an old college sweatshirt, scrolling through final quarter financials from our Boston team. Numbers made sense, they always had. Human expectations, on the other hand, were an unending chaos. The silence since my father's call had been absolute. Not a single follow-up text. No one checked if I was okay. It was as if I had simply obeyed, disappeared neatly like an item crossed off a checklist. I should have expected it. Weeks ago, my mother had called me at 12:43 a.m., her voice groggy but laced with that practiced softness she used when she needed something. "The Wi-Fi's out again," she'd said. "Amber's away with Daniel, and your father's asleep. Could you walk me through how to reset the modem?" "No. Sorry for the hour." "No. How are you?" Just the assumption I'd pick up and fix it like always. I had walked her through it, of course. At the time, I thought helping meant I still had a place. Not anymore. I turned back to my screen and opened the recurring payments tab again. Not out of doubt, but to watch the list in its new empty state. Canceled. Clean. Final. I had barely taken a sip of my second coffee when my work email pinged. Subject: New transfer. Daniel Reese. From HR. Novalinks HQ. I clicked. Daniel Reese, incoming finance director, currently overseeing the New Jersey branch. Effective April 3rd, he'd be transferring to Cambridge HQ. My division, my direct report, my stomach didn't drop. It didn't need to. It only twisted slightly, like my body was acknowledging the irony before my brain fully caught up. I clicked the attached profile. His headshot was corporate polished, neat hair, confident smile, just the right amount of humility to look trustworthy. And then it hit me. 3 months ago, I gave a keynote presentation at the International RNA Symposium in New York. Afterward, during the reception, a tall man in a slate gray suit approached me near the bar. "Impressive talk, Ms. Blake," he had said, shaking my hand. "Or do I call you co-founder Blake?" "Monica is fine," I'd replied. We only spoke for a minute. He'd mentioned working in biotech finance but didn't say where. I didn't ask. I rarely remembered names from those brief exchanges, but I remembered faces, and this was his. Daniel Reese, Amber's boyfriend. My sister's +1 to the birthday party I'd been uninvited from, because of potential comparisons. I closed my eyes. The irony was surgical in its precision. The apartment was still. Outside, rain stitched silver lines across the glass. I let the moment breathe before clicking back into the HR interface. My cursor hovered over the Approve Transfer button. I didn't think twice. Click. Approved. No dramatic music, no rush of adrenaline. Just the cold hum of power used quietly, efficiently. I sat back in my chair and exhaled through my nose, a faint smile playing at the corner of my mouth. They didn't want me at the party. But Daniel? He'd be reporting to me. The universe had a sense of humor. Subtle. Symmetrical. My phone buzzed. A WhatsApp notification. Amber. Just picked up the balloons. The garden's gonna look amazing. Of course, she was already basking in attention that hadn't even arrived yet. Another ping. Email this time. From Aunt Rachel. Subject. Birthday invite. Amber's 35th body. Sweetheart, I assume you'll be there. Let me know if I can bring anything. I'm making lemon tarts. She didn't know. No one told her I'd been excluded, because that would have meant saying it out loud. I looked at the blinking cursor in the reply box, then picked up my phone and typed 4 words instead. I won't attend. Sorry. Send. They didn't want me at the party, but I was already in the room, just on the screen. The sky over Cambridge was unapologetically blue, clear, flawless, like nothing in the world could go wrong. I sat on my balcony with a steaming cup of Earl Grey, its scent calming and precise. Across the river, Boston shimmered with early spring energy. Birds chirped with mechanical consistency, oblivious to birthdays or family dramas. I wasn't invited, but that didn't mean I wasn't attending. My phone buzzed with a new message from Mom. Could you please fix the Wi-Fi? It's important today. No, hi Monica. No, hope you're doing okay. Just a request. As always, I didn't reply. Another message came in within seconds. This time, from Dad. Internet's down. Guests arriving soon. Fix it now. There it was, tone stripped of courtesy. The same man who said I embarrassed the family now expected me to restore their party's digital infrastructure from 30 miles away. I leaned back, took a sip of tea, and let the screen go dark. The Blake family home in Newton was buzzing. I could feel it even from here. The clinking of cutlery, murmurs of admiration for Amber's garden setup, maybe someone complimenting the imported orchids. There would be perfectly plated hors d'oeuvres, soft classical music, wine chilled just right. And somewhere amid all of that, Amber's new boyfriend would be making his grand entrance. A notification blinked. Incoming video call. Aunt Rachel. I hesitated, then tapped accept. Her face appeared under harsh afternoon light, shadows casting deep lines on her forehead. She looked flustered, like she'd stepped away from a kitchen disaster. Monica, she whispered. I just wanted to check. Are you okay? Everyone's acting weird. No one's explaining anything. Behind her, chaos bled into view. The backyard was half set. Guests stood awkwardly, wine glasses in hand, whispering. Amber was pacing in heels. Dad gestured toward the router with a cable dangling from one hand. Daniel's here, Aunt Rachel added under her breath. It's tense. I didn't answer, just stared quietly into the camera. Then, like a perfectly timed cue, a man passed behind her. Daniel. I recognized the suit. Same one from his HR file, same perfectly pressed collar. He was mid-step when he turned toward the screen. Probably caught my movement in his peripheral vision. He froze, his brow furrowed, then widened. He stepped closer to Aunt Rachel's phone, almost disbelieving. You're Monica Blake? He asked slowly. His voice carried even through the patchy call quality. Wait, you're my boss? Time suspended. Behind him, Amber spun around. Dad stiffened. Mom paled visibly. I could feel the collective shift from my side of the screen, like oxygen being vacuumed from a room. I tilted my head slightly, offering the faintest smile. Hope your introduction goes well, I said. And then I ended the call. The air around me remained still, almost reverent. No applause, no collapse, just a serene, echoing quiet. I stared at the now black screen, feeling neither glee nor vindication. Just release. Somewhere in Newton, the party was collapsing under its own facade. And then, as if the universe couldn't help itself, a final message popped up. From Amber. You didn't know? I didn't reply. Daniel didn't either, and everyone else just stood there. They wanted to forget what happened. I didn't need to remind them. Silence had already done enough. The morning air in the office was unnaturally still. Even the hum of the central heating seemed subdued, as if the entire building was holding its breath. I stepped out of the elevator into the 4th floor of Novalink's HQ and felt it immediately. Glances just a second too long. Conversations that ended mid-sentence when I passed by. Eyes wide with curiosity, guilt, or awe. Hard to tell. Someone had recorded the moment. Of course they had. Some aunt, some cousin, maybe even Aunt Rachel herself had accidentally, or purposefully, left the call running. A clip now made its way through the company's Slack channel, under the guise of team gossip. A few seconds long, grainy, but unmistakable. You're Monica Blake? Wait, you're my boss? Hope your introduction goes well. Click. That was all it took. By 9:12 a.m. I was trending internally on the company Discord with a pizza emoji and the label, CEO-level family drama. I pushed open the conference room door. Daniel was already there. He stood quickly, trying to compose himself. His tie was slightly askew, eyes rimmed with sleepless circles. He didn't look at me, at least not directly. I set my notes down and gestured for him to sit. Let's begin, I said, voice level. We ran through the quarter's budget projections, upcoming audits, and department realignments. I kept it clinical, detached, Daniel answered everything he was supposed to, stumbling once when I asked about projected burn rates for the New Jersey branch. Not once did I reference what happened yesterday. Not his slip, not the moment everyone heard it. And I could tell. It unnerved him more than any confrontation would have. As the meeting ended, I closed my folder. Daniel stayed seated. "I didn't know," he said finally, voice low, "but now I see so much more." I nodded once, expression unreadable. He didn't elaborate. He didn't need to. I stepped back into my office, silence wrapping around me again like a well-worn coat. The notification started the moment I closed the door. "Amber, please talk to him. You can fix this." 3 dots. Then another message. "He's pulling away. He won't answer my calls. I know it's because of yesterday. Please, Monica." The screen dimmed. I didn't reply. Then came the one I had expected, but still, it hit differently. "Mom, mi kong nunki kon chon kach lam huch kan havi genti." I stared at the message, letting it sit like a sour taste in the back of my throat. Then slowly, I typed, "I didn't humiliate anyone. I just stopped covering for you." Send. No punctuation, no greeting, no explanation, just fact. The screen flickered with light rain outside the glass wall of my office. I turned my chair to face the window, resting my chin on my knuckles. Across the corridor, through a pane of glass, Daniel was at his desk, elbows tight, posture tense. He was writing something. A few moments later, an internal notification appeared on my screen. New message, HR portal subject, Daniel Reese, personal leave notification content. Effective immediately, Daniel Reese has submitted a request for personal leave. Duration, undetermined. I leaned back in my chair. No smile, no frown, just the soft echo of inevitability settling into place. They taught me love should come with no strings attached, then handed me a bill. It was raining again. A thin drizzle streaked down the windows of my apartment, blurring the city lights into slow-moving smears. I had just started pouring hot water over chamomile when the doorbell rang. 3 quick chimes, urgent but polite. I hadn't invited anyone. When I looked through the peephole, I wasn't surprised. My mother stood there with a thin folder clutched to her chest, her coat damp around the shoulders. My father stood stiffly behind her, arms crossed, jaw set in that familiar grim line. I didn't move for a full 10 seconds. Then quietly, I opened the door. "Hi, honey," Mom said, her voice just above a whisper. "We thought maybe we could talk." I stepped aside. No welcome, no offer of tea, just space. They entered silently. My father scanned the room like he was measuring its worth. Mom sat on the edge of the couch, eyes darting from the bookshelf to the kitchenette. I remained standing. After a beat, she opened the folder and placed a printed sheet on my coffee table. "This is just a rough estimate. Your father and I talked it over." I looked at the paper. It was a neatly typed budget. Electric, water, supplemental insurance, prescription costs, groceries. At the bottom, requested monthly support, $2,000. "Amber's still recovering," Mom said. "She's not in a position to help, and your income is stable now." I said nothing. Dad cleared his throat. "We're not asking for much, Monica. It's family." A pause. "I remember," I said softly, "when I used to send over $600 every month, plus emergencies, fridge, car, heater. You never asked if I was okay, never once said thank you." Mom lowered her eyes. "That was before," she murmured. "Things were different." "No," I said. "You were different. You needed me. Quietly, consistently, but never publicly." Dad's voice rose slightly. "We raised you for 25 years. We gave you everything. You think $2,000 a month is too much?" I finally sat down, calm, precise. "It's not the amount," I said. "It's the expectation. You want support? Fine. But I want a contract. Legally binding. You'll both sign, and it includes a clause. When you pass, all assets go to me. No disputes, no surprises." The silence hit hard. Mom looked like she'd been slapped. Dad stood up so abruptly the table shook. You're demanding inheritance to support your own parents? That's disgusting. I didn't blink. No, I said evenly. You spent years teaching me I was never enough. Let's put that in writing too. He stared at me, red-faced, fists clenched, but said nothing. Mom touched his sleeve gently. Let's go, she whispered. We shouldn't have come. I didn't walk them to the door. When it clicked shut behind them, I remained seated, staring at the wrinkled paper they left behind, a list of costs down to the decimal. I picked it up, read it once more. Then I walked to the sink, struck a match, and held the flame to the corner. The paper curled and blackened. Ash drifted into the steel basin, weightless. I turned away. They used to call me difficult, and now they just call me Monica, and that's enough. The Monday sunlight poured into the Novalink's boardroom like it had nowhere else to be. It cast long, clean lines across the table, tracing the edges of laptops and notepads, softening the steel and glass of our headquarters into something almost warm. I took my seat at the head of the table, glanced briefly at the agenda, then looked up. Everyone was already waiting. Daniel sat 2 chairs down, posture upright, expression focused. He gave a single nod when our eyes met. No hesitation, no awkwardness. Just professional clarity. He wasn't Amber's boyfriend anymore. He was my director of finance. Let's begin, I said. The meeting unfolded with seamless rhythm. Daniel presented the updated budget forecast for Q2. Sharp, efficient, every slide clean, every answer measured. The room, once thick with unspoken curiosity, now held only the crisp energy of people who knew who led them and why. After the meeting, one of the new analysts approached me near the elevator. Hey, Monica, she said, almost nervously. I've been reading up on the company's early days. Didn't realize you were one of the founders. Any advice for someone hoping to lead someday? I smiled. Learn how to stay calm when everyone else panics, and never confuse being overlooked with being irrelevant. She blinked, then smiled back. That's actually really helpful. Thanks. As I stepped into my office, my phone buzzed with a new message. Amber. I think I finally understand, but it's too late now, isn't it? I didn't reply. Instead, I opened a new thread and typed, "Thank you for seeing me, even when no one else did." Send. To Aunt Rachel. She replied within minutes. You never had to earn it, sweetheart. I always saw you. That was enough. By early evening, I found myself at a small cafe near Harvard Square. Same corner seat I used to occupy on quiet Sundays during the startup grind, back when we had 1 client, 2 investors, and a server rack held together by hope. The place hadn't changed. Wooden walls, low shelves of poetry books, a faint cinnamon smell clinging to the air. I ordered a jasmine green tea and sat by the window, watching students pass in clusters, laughing about things that would feel irrelevant in a year, yet immortal in their memories. On the wall beside my table, carved into an old plank of varnished wood, was a quote I'd read 100 times but never fully absorbed until now. Sometimes home isn't a place, it's a decision. I leaned back, wrapping both hands around the warm cup, letting its steam curl toward my face. Outside, the light faded slowly. No calls, no requests, no bills, no accusations, just space. My name didn't echo with obligation anymore. It simply existed. Monica. I closed my eyes. I'm home. Betrayal may have silenced her once, but it never erased the truth. In the end, it was not a confrontation, but quiet clarity that restored the balance, on her terms, not theirs. Justice, when it arrives without noise, often strikes the loudest. Like a balance sheet long overdue, every debt of dignity was finally repaid in full. No wall of lies can stand forever against the tide of truth.